everybody. Sean with the Adventist Review, and I am a lucky man today. I have got a few minutes with Audrey Andersson, Vice President of the General Conference. And Audrey, welcome. Welcome to our little studio up here in the Dome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had to talk to you. I had to talk to you because you're my favorite chair. I love all the VPs, but I have been particularly enjoying watching what you're doing for God's work here in the Dome. And I want to talk about that, but what I kind of want to ask is, how do you end up in the position you are? What was sort of the path from wherever to now?
I grew up in a pastor's family. I studied theology at Newbold College. When I graduated, I actually went and worked outside the church for a publishing company, ended up as a legal editor, running a daily news service from the High Court in London.
Oh, where they wear the wigs still.
Yes, they still wear the wigs. I married a Swede, moved to Sweden, kept working in London for a few years, set up my own communications company. Everything was going very well, so I said to the Lord, okay, 50% of my time is yours. A month later, I got a phone call. We want you to work 50% of the time for the union as executive secretary. That began a journey, 8 years as executive secretary in Sweden, 12 years at the Trans-European Division, and then the last GC session in 2022, much to my surprise, I was invited to be a general vice president. And so here we are.
When they vote your name for a position like that, you kind of start right that moment, don't you?
You do.
How in the world do you get your mind around that?
You don't.
But 3 years later,
you
clearly have your mind around it. One of the things I really admire, I'm watching you chair, and this really is my favorite chair. I love them all, I enjoy them all, but you've been my favorite for this reason. You help the room navigate issues appropriately and to color inside the line, so to speak, to follow the rules, but you do it with this grace, and you appear to even be enjoying it at times. Do you enjoy chairing those meetings?
I love it. I really, really do.
And that shows, I think. But what is it that you love so much?
You know, I love the church, and I love helping the church do its business in an orderly way. And I think when we do, we give glory to God. And, you know, business doesn't have to be dull. We can enjoy ourselves. And I enjoy myself. I want everybody else in the room to enjoy it as well.
Well, you're pulling that off. God is doing that through you, because I'm enjoying it. And you seem so cool and calm and collected and gracious all the time. Is there anything that actually causes you anxiety as you're sitting up there in front of the world delegates?
Yes. When my parliamentarian whispers to me, you need to think of this, or have you, the secretary says, no. And this morning, no, it was yesterday, I had missed a name on the list and started the video. And as soon as the video started, both of them said, you missed the name. So yes, there are things that make me anxious.
I have to ask that. Delegates that would like to speak scan their badge, and you find their name how? How are you picking all those names up?
There is a lovely big screen, and on that screen you can see the person speaking, 3 other names, and then it has plus, and it will tell you how many other names are waiting.
No kidding.
If it's a point of order, then it comes up in red at the top of the screen, so you know I need to take that one.
That takes priority.
That takes priority.
Now, as a personal observation, I haven't been convinced that every point of order is actually a point of order.
They're not.
Right. What is a point of order then?
You know, a point of order is something that deals with a procedural issue or the comfort of the delegates. So, the Portuguese translation wasn't working. That is a point of order. People cannot understand what's going on.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So those are actual point of orders. I get the feeling every so often, and I'm free to say it, but every so often I see somebody who says point of order, and I think, oh, that puts you at the top of the queue.
But you see, as a chair, then you interrupt. If I realize that someone is talking and it's not a point of order, I will respectfully try to interrupt. The only exception was the other day when someone was making a point of order about the food, and I just felt the room really wanted to them to say that. So it was the end of the morning, and I thought, we can have a little bit of grace here.
How do you read a room with thousands of people in it?
That room is very hard to read because when you sit at the front, there are these bright lights. I wear contact lenses, so those bright lights sparkle. So you have sparkly bright lights, and then you look out, and depending on the lighting in the hall, you see shapes. You do not see faces, you see shapes.
So you can't read the mood of somebody necessarily.
You can't, and yet after a while, you do get a feel for, is the body restless? Are they with you? Yeah, you begin to get a sense. You see how many people are up and walking around. So you can see the shapes if you can't see the faces.
The list of names appears on your screen, and there's a name that you have no idea how to pronounce.
Everybody knows I murder people's names, and I apologize for it. And you just look at it and you try your best. Sometimes you have a secretary who knows how the name should, and they will whisper it to you. But basically, you have to try your best.
You spent a great deal of your career, as you mentioned, working in Europe, England, Sweden, Northern Europe. What are the differences you've noticed between the way church business is conducted in Europe versus the way the world body conducts its business? Is there a difference? I mean, I know division by division, there's got to be some minor difference.
Yes, there are differences. There are different local practices, and that, Trans-European Division, 22 countries, almost 22 different sort of parliamentary ways of doing things. And that's why I am so grateful we have the rules of order, and that's even in our constitution. We have our own rules of order, which pick the best of the best. It's based on Robert's Rules of Order,
right.
But Robert's Rules of Order is this thick. Ours is 18 pages.
Yeah, it is short.
And, it covers 99% of what we need, and the other 1%, that's why we have our parliamentarian.
Yeah, and I would lean on that a lot more than you would have to, a lot more. I know we had delegate training, and I find that very important. If you were to sit down and create a training video for delegates, what kinds of things would you want to see in there?
I really liked the training video that we had.
I'm not complaining about
it.
No,
but because I was one of the VPs allocated to that, I watched it about 7 times.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with it. I think on learning from the experience here, I would want to spend some time helping delegates understand you can't edit documents on the floor. Listening to other people. I know I've been a delegate. You come and you really want to make a contribution and feel, I went home and I did more than wave my card or use election buddy. But at the same time, if someone has said what you want to say, maybe you don't need to say it.
Sure.
So it's helping them understand and get a feel for those kind of things, which are difficult, and
right.
How we would do it, I don't know, but maybe when we come to the next GC session, we'll see.
Okay. There has been a lot of time dedicated in the last couple of days in particular to policy and church manual and those kinds of issues. And I know I'm a type A, I'm an evangelist. Basically, that's the Adventist salesperson. It's type A driven. And I do glass over a little bit on about the 100th line of policy, but why is that policy book and why is that church manual so important for us to agree on?
It goes back to what we said earlier. We have different ways of doing things around the world. And so the lovely thing about the church manual is I know if I'm in America, if I'm in Africa, if I'm in Europe, if I'm in Asia, my church has a rule book. It's like there are family rules, and we all abide by them. We all work together. And that's the beautiful thing of the Church Manual Committee. You can go and you can sit, and suddenly you find yourself, one time you're agreeing with someone from South America, the next time you're going, no, 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 no. But, together you grapple with these things. You try to find how do we meet everybody's need? And so that's why I love policy. Our policy book, our church manual, we take the best of the best, we listen to each other, and at the end of the day, we have rule books, guidelines that we can be proud of. Multinational corporations do not have the kind of input and the richness that we have.
Beautiful. What is your favorite thing about working for the Seventh-day Adventist Church?
People. There is nothing nicer than going around and you meet people in God's family and just getting to know them, finding out their journey with Jesus. It is just the most exciting thing that you can do.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Audrey, for taking a few minutes out of a very, very busy schedule to sit down and talk with the World Church and help them get a feel for what happens here. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, everybody. Remember, AdventistReview.org.